Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Welcome to the West Texas View. Today we're continuing our programs about SHARE, which is a nonprofit organization that caters to the needs of the families of children that have special needs. Not only the parents, but also the siblings. And today we're so fortunate to have back with us Tom Jones, who's the executive director of SHARE, but also to have Ricky Daniels, who is a SHARE parent. She is one of those people who has been through the experience, is going through the experience, and is sharing that experience with other parents with children of special needs. It's such a pleasure to have you back, Tom, and to have you with us today, Ricky. And before we start, just in a nutshell, Tom, give a little bit about your background and your affiliation with SHARE.
I've been a special ed teacher for 25 years and always focused on the child, and then I became aware of the needs of the family members that care for that child that has special needs, and that's how SHARE was started, to give some parents that have so many challenges, give some parents some time where they can enjoy life and take a break. And so we started the respite care ministry at First Christian Church, and we've just blossomed and become a nonprofit now, and serve family members all over West Texas.
And the interesting thing there is that you taught the children, the special education children, but it took you a while to learn the dynamics that was happening in the family. You were so focused on the child. And so, Ricky, that's where you come in. We want you to talk about what happens in the family, but before we do, tell us a little bit about you and your family.
Well, I was born and raised in Odessa, been married for 13 years, and we've lived in Midland now for 12 of those years. My husband and I have two daughters, an 11-year-old who is typically functioning, she has no special need, and then we have an 8-year-old who was diagnosed with autism at 2.5.
Oh, so you've got you've really got two children with special needs.
In that one has a diagnosis and the other one has the life that deals with all those special things that go on in our family. Yes, ma'am.
That's true. And we usually don't think of that. We think more in terms of, oh, well, they're okay. They'll kind of fend for themselves.
Right.
But I was telling Tom earlier that I had a nephew who had been king of the roost, an only child for so many years, and then a little sister was introduced into the family, and she had special needs. And so not only did he have to deal with, all of a sudden he wasn't getting all the attention, but he was having to help take care of this child. And so it changes up the whole dynamics and almost the whole image of who you are and what you're about. So talk about your experience as a parent.
Okay. It does change what you think. It changes everything that you think your life is going to be. You know, we all, I think when people ask you when you're pregnant and do you want a boy or do you want a girl, the answer is always, well, we just want a happy, healthy baby. And so we tend to take that for granted. We think that that's what's supposed to come and that's what's supposed to happen. So we tend not to think much further than that. And when that's taken away from you, it really changes the dynamics of your family and the way you see things. You go through a grieving process, which is not just grieving the diagnosis, but grieving what you thought your life would be.
And also, it makes you stop and think. You have those why questions. You know, why did this happen? What did I do? And all of those kinds of things that add to that dynamic.
You do. I think you can't help but think, did I do something wrong? Was there something I could have done differently? I hope for most families that you come to a place where you start to realize there's most certainly a reason that you have that special child. And we've come to that place in our family. We can't imagine our lives without, my 8-year-old's name is Charlie, and we can't imagine our life any different. This is just our normal. This is how we do things. And
But didn't you have to stop and see that you were blessed at some point before you began to change or accept or move on?
Oh, yes.
And you also begin to see the strength in yourself and your husband and your other child.
That's absolutely true. We did have a lot of times when we sort of felt sorry for ourselves and realized how hard life was going to be, not just for Charlie, but for us and for her sister. And when Genevieve, my 11-year-old, was actually about 5 years old, she helped me see it in a different way. And just out of the blue one day, she said, you know, we're really lucky that Charlie has autism. And I turned and I asked her why, and she said, we wouldn't get to go to Share if she didn't have autism.
Oh, how
and we
nice.
wouldn't have Sib Shop. And she started naming off all the people that we know who do therapy with Charlie or who help us in different ways. And so that just changed my mindset. She is a blessing, and we wouldn't have it any other way.
And what a strong, sensitive child she is.
She is. She's
and probably more sensitive having gone through this experience.
Yes.
Well, tell us how you got connected to Share. How did you know about it?
A friend told me about Share. It was shortly after Charlie was diagnosed. She told me about Share and what they offered, and I thought, well, that's lovely, but I could never do that. It's not for me. I have to keep my kids home. I have to keep them close, and I have to have control of the situation. So I did go out and visit and thought it was wonderful, and everyone was just so welcoming and lovely. And I went home and had the feeling of, I just can't do it. I can't take my kids. I can't let someone else have control, because what you know when your kids have special needs is that you love them so desperately, but they can be so hard to care for. And you just can't imagine that anyone else in the world could care for them the way that you can. But I did take her the first night, and they had to kick me out. I didn't want to leave, but they did. They said, it's okay, you can go. And when we came back, the kids were happy and safe and having a great time, and then the next time they couldn't wait to go back.
And you took that first night, you took your older one to the sibling program and your other one to the respite program.
Yes.
We're going to have to take a break right now, but I want to follow through on this because this is so interesting, and it's so enlightening to those parents that said, well, that's nice, but it's not for me, because that's exactly what you said, and now you know how valuable it is. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a minute and continue this conversation.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.